Welcome back to another episode of Sam and Pals Go to the Movies. Bromates was cancelled, so today I will be reviewing the movie Amsterdam. So just a fair warning, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. In the 1930s, three friends witness a murder, are framed for it, and uncover one of the most outrageous plots in American history. So let's begin with my first prep. This movie has a power star list, but some that stood out to me were Christian Bale, Chris Rock, Anya Taylor to some degree, but one of the duos was Michael Shannon and Michael Myers, who seemed to be the ad-lib comedy duo. But don't quote me on the ad-lib thing. But back to Christian Bale, who played Bert. He really got into character, especially with his back injury, his leg, and also his prosthetic glass eye. There is one negative thing about the eye, but I'll talk about that later. His acting was really good. He portrayed and got into character. It seemed like he embodied that, while everybody around him kind of didn't strive for the same level. Chris Rock was funny. He was one of the guys that said some things that everybody was thinking at the time, but didn't want to say. Next point is the time period of the movie, which was during the end of the Great War or World War I. This meant that they needed to use time period items such as clothing, cars, building, and even speech, as well as some real things such as the black soldiers that were not allowed to use American uniforms, but instead were forced to use the French uniforms and fight along the French side. Also, when Mike Myers was doing the sand dancing, that's a real thing. Look it up. There's videos on YouTube about it. Next is the way this movie was made around a real event that happened with the general, and the rest is just fluff, but it makes an interesting plot and gives a twist that feels more like a Marvel comic what if issue. But yeah, just the general part is real, where he testified before Congress about what he felt that was being plotted, but the rest of the characters are made up. It's kind of interesting to follow them along, just like a Scooby-Doo episode, and at the end we uncover who is behind everything. And with that, I move on to my cons. So back to the cast. Some were just there and did not really sell their characters, especially John David Washington, who played Harold. I mean, he was great in the movie Black Klansman and the movie Tenet, but here he felt short, and I couldn't really understand why. Also, Margaret Robbie was everywhere but nowhere at the same time. This I attribute to her character's script. So she did try to work with what she had, but she couldn't make it happen. So I put the blame on the script for her. As for Taylor Swift, her role I consider more of a cameo, so I really can't say that she sold her character, but it was just there to move the story along. But like I said, back to Christian Bale. I wanted his glass eye to play more into the story, him having to adjust it more often or change it with the other ones in his little kid, and give an excuse that some of the eyes are for different occasions. Next point is the story. Even if 90% of it was made up, that isn't really the issue, but the length of the movie is long and it lingers in certain scenes. And then there's some things that I wanted to see more of, like Zoe Saldana as Irma and Bert's relationship. This is where I thought the movie could have used a kidnapping plot. They kidnap Irma to have Bert back off from the Committee of Five. Here is the idea where his buddies from war come in handy. They can get back together and set up a rescue mission to get Irma back. And somehow Bert uses his eyeglass in the mission to get out of the situation. But they wasted time with the other useless parts of the movie, and it just felt it was mostly fillers. Since to me, this really seemed like an Agatha Christie murder mystery with elements from Inglourious Basterds, but it just couldn't find the right plays or the formula to pull it off. So my grade for this movie is going to be a 6 out of 10. I was going to give it a 5.5, but it did have some real elements like the sand dance and the Hellfighters having to wear French uniforms and fight along the side of the French army. But yeah, the only true event in this movie is based on the general testifying before Congress. The rest is just made up, which makes the whole 2 hours and 15 minutes of the movie seem really long when it could have been reduced to an hour and a half. So that does it for this review of Amsterdam. Please join us next time where we're going to review Pray for the Devil.
You got my invitation.
We've been waiting for you.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can find our social media links below. And like always, keep watching movies.